The morning of March 18, 2003, Cuban officials stormed the homes of 75 dissidents on the grounds that they were undermining the authority of the Cuban government by accepting aid from the U.S. government. Among the 75 arrested, 29 were independent journalists who were simply exercising their human right to freedom of expression. The rest of the arrested citizens were librarians and human rights activists who were members of a peaceful campaign called the Varela Project that demands greater rights and freedoms for Cuban citizens. The dissidents were convicted of breaching Article 91 of the Penal Code as well as Law 88 for allegedly jeopardizing the independence of their country. The average sentence handed out to these peaceful protesters was between 6 and 30 years. Under the leadership of Laura Pojan, the Ladies in White group was formed 2 weeks after the arrest. Relatives of the prisoners began gathering on Sundays at St. Rita's Church in Havana to pray for their relatives. After each Mass, they began a ritual procession from the church to a nearby park. The white clothing they wore is reminiscent of the Argentine Madres de la Plaza de Mayo, who used a similar strategy to demand information about their missing children from the 1970s military. Each marcher wore a button with a photo of her jailed relative and the number of years to which he had been sentenced. The injustice at hand is an attempt to scare Cubans from sharing their viewpoints of a crumbling government unwilling to allow political parties or free elections or freedom of speech. The threat to Cubans' autonomy, to be able to freely vote, to speak freely, is what many like Wolfe and Thoreau speak out against. Cuba claims to have the ultimate authority, thus infringing upon their people's basic human rights. Rather than having little influence, like Thoreau suggested, Cuba's government has taken full control where the only conception of justice is what they say it is. Rather than resorting to violence or doing the same things that landed the 75 in prison, Las Damas de Blanco chose fidelity to the law. Although dressing in white is their peaceful protest, they chose an avenue that would gain worldwide attention to the injustice while still obeying the law of the land. In an unjust government, the 75 and thousands more that chose to go against Cuba support Gandhi's theory in not supporting the unjust laws, because no evil system deserves one's cooperation because it is strictly against the people.